And this is Stacia, and I'm here with National Master Tripathi. Um, so I hate to throw Braeden Hart under the bus, but National Master Braeden Hart, he has enough beautiful games that he can take it. So, yeah, let's look at this very interesting game because there's few things in this world that is fun to watch as two young talents fighting it out on the chessboard with creative, wild ideas. So buckle your seatbelts. This is going to be a good one. With that, take it away.
All right, of course. So once again, this is me, Amogh Tripathi. I was the underdog in this game against Braeden Hart, who is another national master in Cleveland. He has a very beautiful win against the Grandmaster. So of course, this is no easy task. Again, we've had a few games on Stacia's channel, so be sure to go check those out. And if you like this game, definitely go check those out as well, because those were no less exciting. Anyways, it starts with e4, c6. We have a Caro-kann. Braeden plays his weird wing gambit, double question mark. I don't understand this move, but it's also very interesting. Anyways, it's not a blunder, more of just a
Yeah, let's give it a
an interesting. But it's definitely very confusing. So if you know me, I am one of the more boring players around, but trust me, this game is not boring. And e6, knight g3, knight 6, bishop e3, and basically what Braeden's done out of the opening, he's sacrificed his b pawn to take command of the center. So back here, when I played c5, the main idea for me with the c5 move is to trade pawns on d4 as soon as he plays d4. But he is b4, having decoy ideas. I take, and then d4, and he gets that center.
Oh yeah. And so can I see if I understand this right? Just real quick. So you're saying that if he goes d4, maybe he would go c3 first.
Well, the idea is that I give him a weak center.
Yeah, he has like no center. Right?
He has f4 ideas here.
Oh,
but with
okay.
with b4 takes a d4, his center is uncontested. And okay, I mean, he's slowly having a new fan in this line in me. I'm actually starting to like this. But yeah, I mean, fun story. We always chuckle when we blitz out this line because we both anticipate each other to play these moves. And, it's always funny to do this against Braeden, and we both like chuckle at each other. But whatever. e6, knight g3, knight e6. So going down some theory, and here my engine prepared move queen a5. And I'm just setting up discoveries on the black or on the white king. He goes knight d2 to, of course, stop the discoveries. And now I go queen b6 to apply pressure on b6. And yes, it may seem like a waste of tempo to go to a5 and back to b6, but I'm just poking in his little weaknesses, like a tickling move, sort of. Here knight f3, and here I play a novelty, sort of, not really, but a move that I'm very proud of, and that's b3. And basically the idea is it's an empty square pawn stack, but the dark squares around his king are surreally weak. And after he takes, I go bishop b4 check, and the d4 pawn is going to fall no matter what, because one of those defenders has to go back. So if we count the defenders on d4 versus the attackers, it's 2 attackers to 3 defenders. 1, 2, and 3. Right? Now, after this check, he has to not only bring 1 defender back, but also blocks the queen defending. So essentially, after this move, it's going to be 1 defender to 2 attackers. And the only way he really holds on to this pawn is if he goes king e2. But again, king e2 is double question marks.
Yeah, no one wants to play king e2.
I thought he'd play king e2 according to style, but whatever.
It does seem like
I took on d4. So I took on d4. And I mean, there's nothing here, as it looks like there has to be something for white, but there's just no discovery attacks on the knight. If the bishop ever moves and tried to do some clever discovery, I always have an intermediate take with check on the king. You don't have any forks because, as I mentioned, I have an intermediate check on f3. So he did go c3 indeed. I took on f3, he took, and here queen c7 with a very complex idea of, well, not so complex, but sort of complex. So if he takes my bishop, which just looks like a free bishop, whoa. If he takes my bishop, which does look like a free bishop, I take on e5 with the queen, and suddenly he's forked.
Wow. Yeah.
And now this is going to go downhill very quickly. So here he plays bishop b5 check. And okay, there's some complexity here. If I go bishop d7, this is a blunder because he can just take it. And if my queen takes, then I just hang a free piece. Now he's up a minor piece.
Yeah, there's no queen takes e5 anymore.
Right. And if I take with the king, then queen takes f7, and my king is going to be screwed very easily.
Yeah.
So instead, here I play my favorite move, which is king f8. We both have a few signature moves in this line, and mine is king f8. And he castles here. So now he is threatening indeed to take my bishop, as there is no fork on the king. So I just drop it back silently to c5, and he plays pawn b4, attacking. I go bishop b6, and he goes rook e1. And with the rook here, he had pins on the a pawn. But now, after the rook moves, I take advantage of this minute difference in the position by playing bishop d7 to start. Whoa. Followed by bishop c6. All right, hold on real quick. I want to go a6 and pull out this bishop because this bishop is a thorn in the butt. I mean, it's so annoying because it takes away the e8 square from the king, and the king is kind of restricted. Now, I also want to trade away my bad bishop. As we see, my pawns on e6 and d5 are restricting my bishop's mobility, versus this bishop has all the diagonals and space in the world to move freely. So this would be a great trade for me. And of course, Braeden, being a master, understands. And now I just put my bishop on c6, little ticklish moves to start. And now my idea is d4 and taking on c3 and undermining the pawn chain. And I'm setting up some discovery attacks on white's queen. Here he goes queen g4. And he continues in his aggressive fashion by attacking my king side. And here I go a6. Now I take advantage of the fact that 3 moves ago, Braeden moved his rook off the a file. As now I get bishop b5, and I can force a trade of bishops. And that's a very critical trade that Braeden must not allow. But Braeden might have missed this idea when he played king g1. And I would label it as a mistake, as now I get a very great trade for me with bishop b5. And okay, at first sight, so I do force the bishop trade, because if the bishop moves off this diagonal, I just take the rook on f1. So he has to take, I take back. And at first sight, it looks like I have doubled pawns, but as a local international master, Calvin Blocker, loves to say, doubled pawns also open up opportunities for open files. And at this time, I do have an open file. Additionally, I'm up a pawn, so like even if I lose this pawn, it's only equalizing material. Plus, I'm not the only one who has pawn structure weaknesses, so does Braeden with a backward pawn on c3. So it's actually a very fair trade-off. Although now I have a superior bishop compared to his not so superior bishop, since this bishop is behind walls with the pawn on e5, and that bishop has no future or potential. My bishop has all the life in the world. So here, a move I thought he'd play is bishop e3 to avenge my good trade by having a good trade of his own. And this forces the bishop trade, as my bishop can't really go anywhere to avoid the trade. And now I thought we'd play this position where he's slightly better, this position, where he's slightly better, but nothing too much. Or maybe I could even ignore his threat and go knight e7, knight g6, and try to go after this e5 pawn. But Braeden played f4, and here I came up with a real fascinating idea to start a little counter-attack thing of my own. And that move was h5. And okay, this knight has very restricted mobility to attack me. I mean, of course, he has many squares to go back, but to really make any progress, he's low on squares. I mean, he can go to e4. He can't go to e4 nor f5. The only square he really has is h5. And I sack my pawn on h5. Now, there's two things that he can do, right? One is just taking the pawn on h5, which happened in the game. Or he can just move the queen back. If he moves the queen back, then h4, knight h5 is a mistake, as now I get g6. And after knight f6, the only move to save your knight, otherwise your knight's trapped, knight takes, pawn takes. That's actually a good trade for me. And now his pawn structure is really bad. That's 4 bad pawns compared to my only 2. And plus I have this open file, h3 is an idea. And overall, not only has black equalized here, I believe black's much better. And so that's why retreating is not the best idea. And instead he took. And this is the more spicy idea with d6. And now the game gets real interesting as he goes knight f6 here, which I went as far as giving it 2 question marks, although it probably only deserves 1. But this is a move that not only throws away his advantage, but also equality. As my knight is terrible because it can only go to passive squares, right? I mean, f6 taken away by the pawn. Now it can go to h6, but a move ago it couldn't. And all in all, that knight's terrible. Versus this knight is hopping around the world and having all the pleasure. And trading away that great knight for this bad knight is once again a mistake. And a reoccurring theme that you're seeing throughout this game is that is the theme of good exchanges versus bad exchanges. And even in this being a tactical game, there are still many positional ideas being involved. And that just shows how versatile you have to be to come to a master level. And you have to be able to incorporate ideas from all over the place into different ideas. You just have to be very versatile, very broad. But anyways, as we continue, knight takes knight, pawn takes, and rook a2. I start an attack of my own on the white king, and he plays rook a1, another great counter. And now, as it may seem like he takes my bishop on he's hanging a free bishop on d2, he makes me lose a queen, as now my king is restricted from all good squares. My queen has to go to d8, and here I'm just going to play a lost position.
There's the Braeden we know and love.
Yeah. But I give him an even better counter with queen c4. Whoa, yeah, queen c4. Now, if he takes my rook on a2, I'm going to take the rook on f1, not a2. And surprisingly enough, this is checkmate. So, after queen c4, he goes queen g3. Now, I think the reason he played this move was to go f5, but he can't do so in this position as his queen's hanging.
Minor detail.
Minor detail, yeah. And I just got bishop d8, so I just want to gobble up a pawn on f6. And here he plays f6. This is a blunder.
f5,
well, yeah, or f5, my bad. That's a blunder. As now this throws away the game because of bishop c7. And now I x-ray hit this pawn on h2. And okay, I mean, he's tied down here. Again, you can't take the rook on a2 as the rook on f1 hangs. So he has to move his queen. But now this happened in the game. I play rook takes h2. That's why bishop c7 was a great move. Since rook takes h2 is now available, king t1, queen h4. Rook h1 is now checkmate. So the only move to stop that is g3. So now his queen defends h1. But now bishop b6, check, involving every single piece in the party. He goes rook f2, but now rook takes a1. And every single piece here is playing some role in this attack. As now here on move 32, Braeden resigned the game, as there's just not much to be done here. He has to give up his bishop, after which I take that.
Yeah.
And then he has to give up his queen, after which I take that. And that's mate, because the
Yeah.
rook can't move back
Rook's
since
pinned.
it's... And this is just sensational.
Wow, what an interesting game, and especially this last. I just want to stare at this for a second. I mean, what a visual! I mean, you've got two rooks, a queen, and a bishop, and I've never seen more active pieces. Like, you're like completely pointed at this h1 square, and you have this bishop. Also, like everything's like perfectly lined up. That's just amazing. And if you
And
don't
again, that's
mind,
the irony.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes.
This is just the irony of good trades versus bad trades. This bishop is terrible, and this bishop is awesome. And that's why back way when, where, here, somewhere. One sec, once I find it. He should have, yeah, right here. He should have gone for this bishop e3 move, because then at the end, I would have had this thorn.
Right.
And yeah, and that trade did somewhat come back to haunt him. That's why even minor detail is very important in this ancient game of chess. Anyways.
Yeah. Wow. So if you don't mind, I'm going to click through and just ask a couple questions that popped in my head during the game. So yeah, this is like, so one of the ideas is just clearance, huh? You're getting the pawn out of the way so you can put your bishop there and attack all those dark squares like you were saying. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, so I have a feeling Braden did not want to play rook at e1, but felt like he had to. Because, I mean, he can't just lose that center pawn, right? Like, that would just be disaster.
I thought he'd play rook fe1, because that rook doesn't do much on the f file. But again, I mean, it has tremendous potential after f4 and f5.
Right.
But I mean, rook at e1 isn't bad. It's just not great.
Yeah, he wanted to go for the f4 plan. I mean, I can't blame him for that. And then, yeah, because, I mean, your king does look suspicious, right? Like, your king's on f8. Like, what are your pieces doing here? But the way you untangle from here is, like, very interesting to me. Got that great trade that you wanted. And then, yeah, this move, I would not see this move coming. It looks so foreign to me, but I do understand your point, you know? Like you're kind of like your rook is becoming active now. And this H file, as we see in the game, becomes extremely important. Like you end up winning on the H file. Just absolutely amazing. Yeah, I get this move too by Braden, because what's his option to go back here?
Right, and
That doesn't seem
then
fun.
we
And then,
have some imbalances in this position.
yeah, like this is
Again,
his
once
best
again,
hope.
his
Like, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, we have some imbalances. I think black's equalized, if not better, with after knight h6 and knight f5 plans. But again, it's not over as it is after knight f6. But it is very spicy after knight g3. It's not over. So like there's still more to play for. It's just that after knight f6, the game is very one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to look at it from his perspective. Like, why would he play this? Because it doesn't look great. But the other options are to let your knight in here. So yeah, that's tough. So and you know, of course, he saw the ideas. I mean, if there's any idea with the move, Braden will find it. And he does, right? Like he plays this move. So he saw this apparently. But your
Mhm.
counter, wow, look at that counter move. Yeah, that's very nice what you did there. You like
Mhm.
overworked everything. Yeah, and then wow. Very nice. Very nice game. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching this. If you did, we're going to be, seeing more of Amogh for sure. He's on a chess journey and he's getting very strong. Amogh's only 14 years old, by the way, just 14, and he's already a national master. So I'm excited to see what you do from here.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you can coach me now because I need all the help I can get. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.